Okay, now in this video we will see how we can use different functions to make use of the result set. I told you what is the result set. Whenever you execute a SQL command, you get the result. Result is what? Result will be a combination of many rows. Okay, so it is quite obvious that we are writing programs through Python means we would like to analyze the result. Analyzing the result means you have to go through each record individually, and that is what is facilitated by this cursor object which I was talking to about in the previous video. MyC is a cursor object. Note that very carefully. Here is the connection between cursor object and the connection object. Fine. And then what I did, I executed one SQL command I showed you in the previous video. And imagine after execution, I got the entire result set in my cursor object. This is my cursor object. So here I got the entire result set. And the result set is what? Result set is basically, say if this is my item table, I am accessing all the data from items. So say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records in the item table placed under 3 fields: item name, I code, I price. So this entire set will be there in MyC. Now, if I was just explaining in the previous example, if I just write data equal to the function if we use here called fetch all, there is a function called fetch all. If you write fetch all, then what will happen? Data will be a list having all the rows from the result set. Okay? But how the results will come? How the rows will come? The rows will become as a tuple. They will become an element of the list. So if I print basically data, I will be able to see a list having different tuples as its elements. But instead of doing this, if I want to individually print or access the values, obviously we are writing through Python means we are analyzing the whole thing through Python program means obviously I would like to go through individual records. Right? So that can be done very easily by using a for loop. Look at this. I will use this kind of for loop for row in data. This kind of loop we have used earlier. Okay, as long as elements are there in the list. Fine. So for row is a variable in data. So what will happen? Every element of the list I will be able to access. And what is every element of the list? Every element is a row. Okay, one row is one element. So here we can print directly like this. We can write print row. So every record can be individually printed. This is how you can make use of it. Or one more thing we can do. If we don't want to print out this way, say in a row I have 3 values because data are added into 3 fields. I want to have access to individual data. Then also we can use a concept here called unpacking of tuples. You have done that in class 11. Unpacking of tuples means if a tuple is made up of say 3 items, like in our case what will happen? Every tuple will be made up of 3 items. So what you have to do, you have to take 3 variables like this and you can write the name of the tuple. So in that case what will happen? Every element of the tuple will be separated, and here we have taken basically 3 variables because there are 3 elements. So all 3 elements, all 3 data can individually be viewed now through ABC. That is the advantage here. Now you want to manipulate this data for any purpose. For any purpose you want to use it in the Python program, you can make use of it. That is one way of doing it. There is another function called fetch1. Okay, if you do fetch1, then what will happen? Only one record will be accessed. Fine? Only one record will be there in data. Right? And if you do fetch many, there is another function called fetch many. And here after fetch many, you have to write a number. Say I wanted to have the first 3 records, so we will write 3. So if you write fetch many and if you write 3, then it will access first 3 records. Now here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records altogether. By mistake here I can access only 5, but by mistake if I write 15, what will happen? Nothing will happen. It will fetch as many it has. The 5 is this limit, so 5 rows it will show you. Okay, that means they will be there as a part of data. I mean, in data list, there will be 5 tuples in that case. So that is one thing. There is one more, not a function, it's a keyword which is used in connection with this fetch all, fetch one or fetch many. What is that function? That function is called, the keyword is called row count. Okay, just we write row count, it's a keyword. And when we do this, we can take a variable, say my variable is count equal to my c dot row count. Normally the row count keyword is always used straight after the fetch one or fetch many. It is related to this. Okay, how it is related to this, let me explain you. Imagine there is an imaginary pointer. Fine. The pointer, the moment we access this record, say the pointer comes down at the end of the first record. The moment we read the second record, say the pointer is coming down to end of the second record. This is how, if we imagine there is an indicator kind of a thing which is coming down, then we will be able to understand the purpose of this row count. Row count will give you where exactly the cards are, how many rows that imaginary pointer has got past. Fine. So if I write fetch many 3, that means 3 records are already accessed by data. So at this stage, if I do my c dot row count, the value of the count will be shown as 3. Because fetch many, you have already fetched 3 records from here. So the pointer, the pointer or indicator, whatever you call it, that will just come down at the end of the third record. So that is how it will show the value of count will be 3. Now at this point, imagine I have done again, though it doesn't make any sense, but still I am just explaining you. Say I wrote once again my c dot fetch 1. So fetch 1 means it will fetch another record. Now if I do count my c dot row count, if I write. Row count is the keyword, and after that if I print count, then you will see, look at this, row count was already at the end of the third record. Here the count value was 3. Now another record is accessed. Okay, so what will happen? This indicator will come down one more place. So if I print the value of count, now I will get the result as 4. So that is how basically fetch 1, fetch many and fetch all functions are used, and in connection with that, row count gives you the current position of that imaginary indicator which I was talking about. How many records it has already crossed. That is what it gives you. I will give you some more examples in the notes. This part I did not include in my last test notes. Today I will include. We'll go through the examples. I think you will be able to understand that. Fine.